Hello, everyone. I'm Cheldin Rumor, and this is it. Welcome back to This Is It TV. It is always a pleasure, and I learn so much from our next guest. I'd love for him to reintroduce himself, his first and last name, and all he's up to.
Cheldin, I'm Louis Bezich, men's health advocate, contributing writer to phillyvoice.com, and of course, the author of Crack the Code 10 Proven Secrets That Motivate Healthy Behavior and Inspire Fulfillment in Men Over 50. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so good, and I'm always better when I get to chat with you. I'm always better when I get to chat with you. What are we
Good.
talking about today? It's a special month.
Well, June, of course, as we record this, we are in the month of June, and June is Men's Health Month. So we like to do a state of the state of men's health as it is. We're past Father's Day, but a belated Happy Father's Day to all the dads and father figures out there in whatever form that takes. Parenthood is probably, in my experience, one of the most, if not the most, motivating factor in living a healthy lifestyle. So hats off to all the dads out there.
That's all.
But of course, it's Men's Health Month, so we want to take a look at where are we in terms of the state of healthy behaviors among men, what trends are going on here. And the bottom line is that we're in a state of transformation. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's some good stuff going on, and there's some not so good stuff, and some continuation of the poor habits and practices that we've had in the past. And so that's what's going on. Let me
Love
kick
it.
it off with
Yeah.
on the downside. Men still don't take care of themselves the way they should. It's interesting. A Cleveland Clinic study that we've talked about before last fall, surveyed men and found that 81% of men say they live a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not true. They think they're living healthy, but that's cut that in about half. 44% of men don't see a physician at least once a year for an annual checkup. 44%, don't pay any attention to, or they ignore their mental health issues. So, the numbers are clear that we're just not making it on that score. Another troubling factor is that there's an effort underway. Again, we've spoken about this out in what they call the manosphere. There are a lot and this, even though we talk about 50 plus men, this trend's a little younger
Yeah.
where men are feeling insecure. They're feeling, they're experiencing economic challenges. And as a result, depression, isolation, and those kind of factors are really playing hard. In fact, that's one factor among others that contributes to the fact that men still commit suicide in this country 4 times the amount that women do, and that's very, very troubling. So whether it's some of the new issues that are fueled on social media or are just traditional views of masculinity, that's not good. On the positive side, there
Yeah.
is a new masculinity movement where men and those that love them acknowledge that we are vulnerable and it's okay to share our vulnerabilities. It's okay to acknowledge mental health issues and depression and things like that. We've spoken and I've written in Philly
Yeah.
Voice about pro athletes who have acknowledged bouts with depression and such. So the more that new masculinity takes over, the more that people acknowledge and recognize the issues, and ultimately, see that their healthy behaviors can really change your life, the better. So it's kind of a mixed bag. There's still a lot of remnants of, the traditional views on masculinity, like I don't need to see a doctor, I'm fine.
Right. Right.
But there's some positive things happening on the other side.
I think it's an interesting thing because the word that as you're talking and sharing both sides of the coin, one of the things that keep coming to mind is the idea of priority, right? Like what is a priority within your space? I know personally you're driven by your family. You're wanting to be at the graduations and milestones for your grandchildren and making sure that that's part of your life's plan and staying healthy so you can be present, not only
Right.
for your children, but for your grandchildren and for your spouse. I think that how men are prioritizing how they take care of themselves, not thinking about, right, hey, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to worry about work or the game or whatever it happens to be. And, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But having mature conversations, again, going but to back to the positive piece of it, being really empowered to say it is strength and it is strong for you to care about yourself. It is
Yeah.
not, it's not feminine, dare I say, for you to want to be vulnerable or want to care about about people's feelings or want to care about your own health. So I think the conversation is shifting, but priorities always kind of comes and surfaces for me as it relates to
Absolutely.
health.
Yeah, no, the manly thing to do is to
Right.
recognize your vulnerabilities. The manly thing to do is to get your butt to the doctor at least once a year for an
Yes.
annual physical,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what, that what I continually sort of frustrates and puzzles me is that, the old school view of masculinity is that we are providers, we are guardians, right? We're in charge, but the most important thing we can do to
Right.
fulfill that mission of taking care of others is take care of ourselves.
Exactly.
Because, that's why men die younger than women. So we're not around to do that, to carry out that mission. So that's what we need to, that gap we need to close. And that's how we need to define masculinity
I
going
think
forward.
I think it's so important. And it seems as if the conversations are now happening out of necessity, unfortunately, in
Mhm.
some
Yeah.
cases, happening a lot younger, to be able to be more forthcoming with your feelings. Oftentimes, feelings are addressed far too late,
Yeah.
or not at all. And that affects relationships, well, again, with your family, relationships, again, with your coworkers, with friends, at school, at work. And then in turn, how you live your life. And I think that that becomes a very dangerous thing as opposed to us being really proactive in thinking of ways to be able to do it. So is it more for you, and this is more your opinion, and is it more
Mhm.
about having more conversations with other men about this? Is it more about education and resource? Like, what would you suggest? Again, a lot of these individuals know what they should be doing, but they're not doing it, or they've heard a little bit about it. If we have loved ones and men that we love within our lives, what types of suggestions can we provide?
Well, I think the answer is that a lot of my research and the
Mm,
work I've done has really focused on the social sciences, right? We spend a ton of money in this country on the medicine, the technology. We're great at all that.
yeah.
But why is it we have such lousy statistics? Because it's about human behavior,
Mm,
right? Behavior has the most influence on our health. And
yeah.
so the pathway that I aspire to follow and what I've seen as a trend in men's healthcare is to focus on your relationships, right? To focus on the human side of things. Because in the men that I've spoken to who do lead a healthy lifestyle, they are empowered, they are inspired by their social agenda, right? Their spousal relationships, their children's relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an encore career, but that's what gives them the wherewithal. And so, what's embedded to your point? What's one of the most fundamental points of a relationship? It's communication.
Yeah. So
It's
true.
let's work together because when we work together, whether it's working out or
Yeah.
talking about our issues with our spouse or with guy friends, the
Yeah.
more communication, the better, and that can then that mental, that behavioral can then turn into physical attributes and physical habits.
Yes, no, I love that. And we've talked about plenty of times the power of community and the power of having it be accountability within
Yes,
that. So the ability to have, and I think that as people get older, making new friends is a difficult thing,
yes,
especially within transition. You mentioned that encore career, which I think is really important, especially now as people live a little bit longer, right? So they've retired and now what? So there's some idle behavior that leads to
mhm,
unhealthy behavior in some
yes.
cases. So I think that I love the idea that you're really drilling home communication and you've always really championed community and accountability amongst that community to live a healthy lifestyle. So now, as we sit in June and we celebrate men's health, these are things that our audience can do and the loved ones of our audience can do to make sure that the men in their lives are healthier.
Exactly. I will just leave you with this thought, right? Healthy behavior is a means to an end,
Mm,
right? I keep repeating that, but it's
yeah,
so true. It's a means to an end. The end game are our social and emotional relationships.
yeah,
That's what drives us. That's what creates the fire in the belly. And that's what motivates us to get up in the morning, to do the exercises, to
yeah.
stick to the diet, because there's a larger picture that is really meaningful to us and gives us purpose.
It gives us purpose. Ah, and that purpose will drive us. I think this is so
Yes.
important as we celebrate Men's Health Month,
Right.
my dear friend. If people want to get in touch with you, my darling, if they want to be able to follow, fan, and like you, as I like to say, where do they find that information?
You can follow my work at Lewis on social media at Lewis Bezich, and of course my website lewisbezich.com. You'll see what's going on in my world of healthy living.
Okay, no excuses, no excuses.
There you go.
This month and months to come, there's no excuses.
Exactly.
Make your health a priority. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Loved it.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. Okay, from all of us here at This Is It Network, I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and we will see you soon. Take care.